Welcome to this sort of overdrive appreciation video. I had the opportunity recently to purchase a new overdrive pedal, and it kind of exceeded my expectations. And so what I wanted to do was just kind of go over all of the overdrive pedals that I have, just to kind of demonstrate what all the little differences are and what I like about them. What you're seeing now is what I have so far. I'll go over each of them in detail, but we have the JOYO Tauren, Way Huge Green Rhino, the Caline Pure Sky, another Caline, the White Heat, and JOYO again with the Taichi. All of these are relatively budget friendly. The Green Rhino is definitely the most expensive, but the rest of these are under $50. And I think it's a good way to show that you can get great tones without investing a lot of money. With all the controls set at neutral, let's just start to go through them. I have with me my Gibson Les Paul Studio with stock electronics. That's going through our pedal chain here and into an amp sim, which is a Fender Twin amp, and coming out of a Vox AC30 cabinet. And in the middle position sounds something like this. Nice, very neutral ground to start on. Fender amps, very good platforms for pedals. Let's just jump right in. I'm gonna go onto the bridge pickup. We're gonna tap into the Tauren with all settings at neutral. I also like to point out that I think it's important not only to hear but also see some of the differences in these pedals. So I have a spectrum analyzer, which will help us kind of show what things do, like tone knobs and all of these different like frequency changes. You'll be able to visually see, as well as have them audibly be different. So let's go into the Tauren. Already there's an immediate volume increase, and it sounds like this. I also want to apologize. I'm not a fantastic player, and I do not think this is going to be a great demonstration of my playing. Apologies again if it becomes incredibly repetitive and bad. But this is about appreciating the pedals and not my playing. The Tauren is a clone of the Klon Centaur, which is a very famous and popular pedal in the overdrive scene. It's supposed to have these characteristics of being very warm and, we'll say quote unquote transparent. But I think this particular pedal does a fantastic job of doing that. It's not a one-to-one recreation of a Klon Centaur. In fact, there is a little bit of an EQ difference if you compare it to something more accurate like a Rockett Archer. Here, there's kind of like some woolly qualities. Like it's targeting more like your mid-range, lower mid-range, whereas a traditional Klon targets more like the upper mid-range. I guess the best way to demonstrate is just to play again. It does really have just kind of like that woolly aspects to it. I don't really know if there's another word to describe it, but it kind of helps to emphasize that warm presence that the Klon really tries to aim for. And I think that this is kind of an exceptional sort of pedal. That That woolly quality isn't something that everyone wants, but it's definitely a standout sort of pedal. Let's go and fiddle with some settings here. You can sort of use this as like a clean boost by turning the gain all the way down. Where are we at here with this? Sounds very nice. Let's compare that to our dry. That's good as it is, honestly. Little quirk about this that I found is that your tone and your gain are also kind of connected to your volume. So the more you turn up your tone, the more volume you're going to get. But you can kind of see that on the display as the ambient volume rises while I'm increasing the tone. And that 19K is just going through the roof with that. That's crazy. Turning it off just goes away. Yeah, it's really driving those like top shelf frequencies. But let's just do some quick demonstrations. It gets a little more crunchy, definitely brighter. Bring it up to noon. Definitely gets more sharp. That's a tonal quality of some of those higher frequencies. It gets a lot more sharp and not necessarily punchy, but almost like metallic. Up to 3 o'clock. I'm going to stop there because those are getting a little too high for my personal preferences. But let's just max it out and see what happens. And we're going to stop that because I'm getting a headache. But yeah, that right at about noon, I think, is a good position where we are right now. Let's go ahead and increase some of that gain. Bring it up to, again, 9 o'clock. It's more of like your low to medium gain, and it is soft clipping, so you're not going to get too drastic with your gain stages here, but it's definitely very user-friendly, very digestible in its tone. You have a very cool pedal here, and I'm not going to go through all of the different possibilities and stuff, but it does work with like a clean amp or a dirty amp. So if you start to overdrive your amplifier with its own settings, this also works pretty well. This cleans up very well too. So let's go back to that like high gain setting. And I'll turn down the volume of my guitar while I'm doing that. And now it's off. But this is on just like 1, maybe even like half. It's got some dynamic attack, so hit the right note. Overdrive appreciation. I appreciate how well this pedal is. It's really good. It's kind of a sleeper. Up next is the Way Huge Green Rhino. Let's just jump right into it. Do a sound sample. So this is Way Huge's take on a tube screamer. I think it's like a TS9, but this was my favorite pedal for a while, and I kind of fell out of love with it. I'll get to why in a second, but let's just start to go through some of these settings. So as far as a clean boost, it's not really that great. I can turn the volume up to max, I can have the drive all the way down, and what happens is you always kind of have that gain stage affecting your signal, even if you have it turned all the way down. And that's kind of like a little pet peeve of mine, but we'll try and get past that for the moment. So this down here, this little knob kind of affects your low end frequency. This is supposed to affect like the 100 frequency range. So we have this turned down. It sounds like this. Bring that up. There's like a little stop in the middle, and that brings your signal to this. It's definitely pushing that lower end frequency, which isn't necessarily great in a mix, but if you're playing by yourself, you know, it could be fun. But we're gonna put that down here. This tone knob, what's this do? This is kind of affecting a large area. You see kind of like here, we have it at noon, and then watch kind of like the far reaches, like over here, between like the 1500 and the 4000. It really starts to go up past noon. More like 3 o'clock, really past 3 o'clock. Really starts to bring in those high-end frequencies. This is supposed to be like a curve knob, and I think this kind of like helps to sculpt. Yeah. So having this all the way to the left is just kind of like a very wide sort of EQ effect. But bring it all the way to the right gives it more of a narrow response. It's a strange little pedal. Interesting idea, but I don't really know if the execution was really great. I am thinking about replacing this at some point. Let's check out this drive signal that insists on being throughout the entire process. again, it's one of those like light to medium gain pedals, but it really likes to stay in your signal. Like I was saying before, even if you have it turned all the way off, it's still present. It is a very tight kind of overdrive, though. Like, you're not really gonna be chugging along or like getting droopy or anything. It does pinch harmonics okay. I don't know, its drive function's kind of understated. Like, it's not very present until noon. And then it just kind of like slowly tapers off as you get to the top. Actually, there isn't much change past noon. Strange. I like some ideas that are on here, like for example, how the volume and drive are actually independent. Changing the drive does not make the signal louder. You know, that's exclusively through volume. You might have noticed that while I was playing. It stays at a consistent level throughout. Only when you actually increase the volume does the pedal get louder. So that's cool. That's a feature that I really like. And I think the sculpting is really interesting, but again, I don't think it was necessarily the best choice. So let's move on to the Caline Pure Sky. This is a copy of Paul Cochrane's Timmy, which you can find. There's like a MXR version of the Timmy as well. It's a little bit more affordable. This is an even more affordable version of that. The big difference is that the Timmy has like a three-way voice toggle, and this does not. This has just like the standard voice, and for me, I think that's okay, because I didn't really care about the other voices anyway. My signal is just so quiet without these overdrives on. Let's go ahead and turn this on. That's very quiet. Okay, there's some kind of technical issue going on here. If we skip past it. Okay, unfortunately there's something going on with this. I'm not entirely sure what. This isn't a bad pedal. I'll just briefly talk about it. A lot of gain and volume from this. Holy cow, you can really crank it. The treble and bass controls are I think they're almost exclusively additive. You don't subtract from your signal with these. Your treble control is very responsive. More often than not, I have it tilted towards like 11 o'clock because of how much extra treble it just adds to the signal. Usually I have it set like that, where both are before noon. Lot of volume, lot of gain. One of the aspects about the Timmy pedal and this particular pedal as well is that it's supposed to be like a very transparent overdrive pedal, and there's that word again, transparent. But the Timmy and this pedal are so transparent that it's almost like you're just using a boost. It's not really adding any color to your guitar tone. You're just adding volume and some really nice gain. along with just some basic EQ. It's not really adding any color or effect or anything. And so it's making me question whether or not I want to keep it on my pedal board. Regardless of that aspect, it's still a very nice pedal. You know, you can get this for under 50 bucks. It's still really good. But let's move on to the White Heat. This is a clone of the DoD 250. I love the DoD 250 and the MXR Distortion Plus, which is what the DoD 250 is based off of. This one just happens to be a lot cheaper. It's pretty much a one-to-one recreation, and one of the favorite parts about this pedal that I really like is that there seems to be something connected to the gain. I don't know what exactly, but it's almost like as you increase the gain, you're also increasing the like high end frequencies, the top shelf, which I think is really cool because like gain is usually attached to your low end frequencies. And so to have some extra like presence to balance it out, I think is a really nice feature. I think this one is working. Let's take a listen to that. Yeah, it's working. So let's have a listen. So again, this is what our clean signal is at. So we're at unity volume right now. Let's bump that up a notch. That's a little bit more than a notch. I forgot to do this with the Rhino. It's fine. How well does this clean up? It is almost like a fuzz in a sense, because the overdrive is very aggressive. It is definitely more of like your hard clipping, high gain pedals. The White Heat and the DoD 250, as much as I love it, it is a bit of a strange pedal because certain pickups work better with it. I got stock humbuckers in here, but I think this pedal sounds better with something like a mini humbucker or even like a single coil. Can we get a clean boost? You can get a clean boost. That's actually not bad at all. Let's compare that to our dry. It is another one of those ones where it's like you can't really escape the gain, but the gain is kind of the selling point of the pedal. So let's start going through these different settings. Here you're really starting to hear the breakup. punk rock. Very cool pedal. Now is the pedal that kind of got me interested in doing this video in the first place, is the JOYO Taichi. This is kind of like your Dumble tone. For those of you who don't know what Dumble is, there's a fantastic video by 5 Watt World going into the history of the Overdrive Special, which is a type of amplifier that was used back in, the 80s, 90s, something like that. I can put a link to it. It's a great little, I think it's like 20-minute video. Really cool. But this is more or less the Zen Drive from, I think it's LovePedal? I forget who makes the Zen Drive, but this is essentially a clone of the Zen Drive. And unlike the Tauren, which has a noticeable EQ difference, the Taichi is almost a one-to-one copy. So let's give that a quick listen. Again, dry tone. I was not a fan of the Dumble tone for a long time, but then I just kind of got this on a whim, and I was pleasantly surprised. Let's just kind of go over what we can do. First things first, how well does it clean up? I would say okay. It cleans up okay, not the best. I've seen worse. Let's go through our usual routine. There is a strange thing about this one where you can't have the volume all the way up. You have to have a little bit of that gain knob activated. The signal's actually quieter. You have to activate the gain a little bit. Right about there, about not 9 o'clock, it's more like 8. So it is one of those pedals that does require the gain to kind of always be on. There was an interesting thing when I was first testing out the pedal where it was like the controls and everything were fine, like your tone and your voice, but there was something about the gain stage in particular that just, to me, it made it sound almost cheap. I don't really know what other word to use to describe it aside from cheap and expensive overdrive. But it's a tone that grows on you kind of quickly. You play around with it for a few moments and it's like, oh, it doesn't really bother me anymore. You completely forget about it. And now that I've heard it several times already, it's like, yeah, this is fine. So I guess that's just something to note if you're experiencing that same thing that I did before. But we have some interesting controls. You have your tone, which, if you look here, it's kind of going all over the place. It's mostly focused on this section over here, like past 1100. And then your voice control, it's doing a lot. You can see it was affecting everything from like 300 up. So how do we go about doing this? Your voice control really does affect a lot of the tone of this pedal. say that your tone knob itself is almost more like a presence or like a specifically high-end, high frequency shelf, whereas the voice is actually more of like your main concern. You want to dial that in first. Actually, let's just crank this and see what we can do. That's way too much. I don't know, let's try the other way around. Tone first. That's at an okay point, and then let's try our voice. Is almost a little bit like too much low-end frequencies. I think if I had to change one thing about this pedal, it would be a little bit more control over the low end. But if you have a guitar, like I do, that actually has a low-end frequency control, it does kind of help to mitigate that. Getting out of tune. I'm out of touch as well. Just a really cool pedal. It's like I don't know how else to really describe it. It's just really cool. Like as simple as these controls are, for as non-complex as what they do, I could spend just a ton of time just trying to dial in the right tone. You know, this pedal, this pedal, this pedal, these three in particular. There's just so many good tones that you can get out of these. But let's see how these gain stages work. I just turned it only a little bit. You get a lot from that. That's not it, but I still like that. Man, I am just bad. But yeah, a lot of fun, overdrives, great little machines. All right, so let's take a step backwards. This is the Timmy, or the Caline Pure Sky. So our clean tone. Like I said before, it's a fantastic little pedal. You get a lot of volume, a lot of gain from this thing. But again, let's just put it through the ropes. See what we can do. Clean up. Not bad. So again, what we do as far as a clean boost. You got tons of volume. Turn that bass up because it's already loud as it is. But yeah, you can see just like how responsive these controls are. Damn, I lost the groove. Hang on. Yeah, that reminds me, like pick attack. How does that work? Yeah, pretty good. Very dynamic. And our gain. A lot of gain. Really good pedals. You know, people might have some misconceptions about more budget-friendly companies like Caline or JOYO. They do have some good pedals, and you know, just do some research, see which ones you like. You might have to make some compromises. It's the tone that you want to make. You should be able to decide, like, is it worth $35 to get a pedal that sounds pretty much identical to a boutique pedal that'll cost you, how much does an original Timmy go for? At least $200, I think. And the MXR version is like, so I mean, substantial savings with like one or two less features. There's hundreds and thousands of Dumbles and Klons. Just go out there and explore, listen to demos. Most of these are fairly inexpensive, so worth the investment, I think. Yes, just go out, explore, be creative, and be wise about your money. Till then, cheers.